I'm in Brentford in West London, and as you say, it's the biggest film and VT library in the world. There's something like about 500,000 rolls of film in this library and about 300,000 reels of tape of different sorts of type of tape, different formats, and we'll tell you about that a little bit later on. But if any producer from the BBC wants to get any material of any sort for a programme that they're doing which requires what we call archive, then they'll come here and ask for it. But it's not only open to the BBC, because if you are working for a TV company around the world or a production company and you want to do something with archive as well, then you can still come to the BBC and you'll pay for it. And that was Bob, our cameraman, who just slipped on the steps. So I hope you're... Are you all right? Yes, you're OK. Well, I've been joined by... This is live television. Anne Hanford is the head of the Film and VT Library here.
Hello.
I hope he's going to be all right now.
Yes, I
Why did the BBC decide to keep so much material?
Well, because they need it for a very wide range of purposes. For repeat programmes, and the most obvious, for reuse in new programmes, you're always using it in open air, and last but not least, for the longer-term archival purposes and for the commercial sale and exploitation by BBC enterprises.
Because they use it quite a lot.
Yes.
It's a way of making a lot of money for the BBC, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. They sell not only programmes as such to broadcasters and for educational purposes, but they also now, of course, have a very large market in home video with distributing programmes and special compilations. Nostalgia is very popular.
So what's the policy for something like this? Obviously, you can't keep everything that the BBC ever puts out.
No, it's logistically impossible. As you see, the storage areas are huge. They have to be air-conditioned. There has to be a wide range of equipment to support them and a very sophisticated information system. So we have to be selective. So we try to select a representative selection, but we keep most current output for up to 5 years before we make a decision, which we hope you make a better decision the longer you leave it.
I remember seeing Wogan just before
Yes.
Christmas, and Dudley Moore came on, and he was saying, oh, but they didn't keep any of the Derek and Clive series of years ago, and he would personally like to have seen those, and I'm sure a lot of people would.
Yes.
Why was a decision like that? I know it's difficult
Yeah.
to speak in specific
Yeah.
terms, but why are decisions like that made where, you know, things were wiped or got rid of?
Well, I think in the past there certainly are gaps in the collection because I think people didn't realise the long-term value of the material. And drama and light entertainment programmes are very restricted because of copyright and contractual limitation. So if you've a shortage of resources, it's very hard to argue you should keep programmes which ostensibly can't be used.
It's knowledge of hindsight,
yes,
really,
indeed,
isn't it?
I'm afraid so. So I think it's probably drama and light entertainment and possibly music that suffered more than factual programmes, which are largely unrestricted in use.
So the BBC do this, but ITV, they don't do the same sort of thing then?
Well, they handle it in a different way because, of course, they're set up individually and for a limited period of time. And they rely on the National Film Archive, who they make a contract with, to carry out the archive service for the ITV companies. So
well,
that is their role.
As you said, it's an enormous place. We're going to be taking a look around it a little bit later on. Thank you very much indeed. And we're at the Enquiry office for Windmill Road's BBC Film and Videotape Library. And with me is Ronnie Benjamin, who's the manager of the Enquiry Service. What actually happens here, Ronnie?
Well, our job is to respond to requests from BBC production staff who need to find footage on certain subjects, or they may want to find clips from previous BBC programmes.
Now, we've just seen a clip that Open Air uses this Enquiry Service quite a lot. Now, what would have happened to have got those little clips onto television? What happens first?
Well, first of all, a member of the production team, possibly the assistant producer, will phone us up and ask us to find, in that particular case, what they wanted was to find the earliest material we had in the library, examples of famous programmes, certain dramas, that sort of thing. And from there we went and researched the catalogues.
Now, with Open Air, very often we're looking for examples of a star's work who might be appearing on the programme.
Yeah.
What happens there?
Well, we then have to research the catalogue, look under the, you know, we ask which particular actor or actress they want, we look under their name, find out what particular programmes they've appeared in before, and then select whatever clips we think are suitable.
Now, earlier on, when we were talking about it, I was amazed to find that there's 500,000 film spools, 300,000 videotape spools. How on earth do you find something?
Well, it's a very complex system of cross-referencing in the catalogue. We have to index under the name, the title of the programme, the subject. So everything is cross-indexed, and we just look through the indexes.
So
and
you
hope
know
we
where
find-
everything is then?
Hopefully, hopefully.
Now, in the room here, we've got a lot of computer terminals. Is everything logged on computer?
It is now. The catalogues you can see around the room go up until about 1984. After that, everything is punched onto the computer.
All right, now you've got a load of index cards as well.
Yes.
Give us a sort of example of what you'd be asked for. News, I believe, use this a lot.
Yeah, news, current affairs. It depends what's happening in the world at the moment, but for example, before Budget Day, we might be asked for shots of previous chancellors holding up the budget box, or in an election campaign, politicians on the campaign trail, that sort of thing.
Right, so anything and everything can be found
Absolutely
within
anything.
the BBC.
Yes, we don't know what we're going to be asked for from day to day. It's completely different.
What's the funniest thing that you've been asked for?
The Titanic sailing into New York Harbour. And also we were asked
Stop laughing.
one Christmas for shots of a stable with a holy light shining out of it, and if possible a prominent star overhead.
Okay, Ronnie, thank you very much
Thank you.
indeed. That's Ronnie Benjamin from the Enquiry Service.
However, the archive consists of far more than just these rows of videotape. Let's go and have a look behind the scenes at the BBC Film and Videotape Library. This is the inquiry department of the library. The staff here are the first contact point for other BBC staff who wish to use the holdings and the resources of the library. They deal with approximately 2,000 inquiries a week, and they also provide an all-round year service every single day of the year, including Christmas Day. They also work an overnight shift to service the needs of the programme BBC Breakfast News. When the material has been selected by the inquiries department, it has to be ordered up from one of our storage areas. This is just one of the storage areas here at the library. In fact, we hold almost 300,000 different videotapes. Most people's view of a film archive is what you can see here, rows and rows of cans. In fact, we have 500,000 cans of film here. That's hundreds of millions of feet. The holdings here range from our earliest material, from 1936, right up to date. For example, last night's QED was made on film, and that will soon be in the vaults here as well. As you can see, this is not like a normal book library. You can't come down to the shelves here and browse through and pick out a programme of your choice. They're just stored in cans or in packaging for tapes. Instead, what we have to do is log every single item as it arrives in the library, view the programmes, and record the contents of the programmes on our computer system. Staff can come to the library to view the material. We have a wide range of viewing equipment here for all different formats. When the material has been selected, it can be sent out on our network of vans to London premises or around the country. And at the end of the process, you should see the selected material on your screen, as you did at the start of this item with the compilation of archive material.
Well, there you are. We're in the viewing area of the VT area. This is a 2-inch video machine, which is about 25 years old. Technology has changed a lot because the videos in those days were on spools like this, which weigh about 25 pounds, and there's about 65,000 of those. Adam, everything started off on film that was recorded. We've got some film here. What is this?
This is 16mm black and white film. In
Yeah.
fact, our earliest holdings are all on film, a mixture of 35 and 16mm film.
So Doctor Who from 1964, this? Wow.
Yes, that's right, that's on 16mm.
OK, let's see
If
what
we
we look
look
the
here,
difference then.
You can see the difference. Here's the picture for the 35mm and the picture for the 16mm. As you can see, it really is double the size.
Yeah.
And here alongside are the soundtracks.
So you've got to keep double the amount of space then. It's going to use up a tremendous amount of storage space.
That's right.
Now, from film then, things have been transferred onto videotape.
That's
now,
right.
people at home have had a choice initially before they got video recorder, VHS or Betamax. This is the choice available for television companies. Why have they changed from this 2-inch machine to all of these?
Over the last 25 years, the technology for videotape has become more and more sophisticated.
So
This tape, for example, is a 2-inch tape which you can't do a fast forward with,
that's
but
a
you can
1
with
inch.
this.
That's
This is a 1-inch.
Everything is actually broadcast on that.
At the moment, that's right.
OK. Now, I've seen a lot of these, but here's one I haven't actually seen until today. So tell us what this is very briefly.
This is one of the latest formats. It's a digital tape, actually called D1. It's a new way of recording television pictures.
And what will be the advantage of using something like this?
The nature of the way the picture is stored means that the picture should last longer.
And the quality would be a lot better, I take it.
That's right.
So you've got those, and you've even got these as well. This is something from The Late Show.
This is an actual tape that goes in the camera.
And they can record off a camera there.
Yeah, this is only a 20-minute tape.
Right. And then we've got something like this, which is used for what?
Well, this is being used for recording today's open air, in fact, on exactly the same format as this. This tape holds as much time as the 2-inch tape here.
Wow, that's amazing. So there you are. You can see the advances of technology. And as you say, this tape, or this type of tape, is being used today to record the momentous events of British television on open air, including Eamon Holmes's hypnosis. They were back to the studio.
We challenge you, Roy, to come up with the very first transmission that the BBC ever made. And it was before the war. We think it was 1936. And you've got 5 minutes, Roy.
Starting now.
No, I haven't. I've got 4 minutes, I've just been told. Anyway, I thought to sort of use up a little bit of my time, give us a fighting chance. This is an area that they will be using for the archive in the future. So you can see it's a huge place. But I'm going to go back and we'll find out a little bit about the archiving policy from Andy Lee. We'll come back into the VT viewing area, so if you come in here. So here we are. You can see all the machines that we've got here as well. Now, Andy, can you tell us what decisions are made as to whether you record or keep something or not?
Well, there's a policy which has been set up here now for about 12 years, which looks at all areas of output, and following that policy, we keep about between 70 and 80% of all network BBC programmes.
Do you record open air?
Open air is recorded up in Manchester by your own technicians, and yes, that is kept.
Why is it kept?
It's kept because it's a good programme about television. In fact,
Correct answer. Right, we've also had a call from Mary Marrick in Nottinghamshire. She wants to know, does Ian McLennan's David Copperfield exist? Well, I'll tell you what, we've actually dug it out for you. There it is. David Copperfield, this is programme 8. It's March of 1966, the 6th of March, 1966. It's amazing. Now, there's been a lot of criticism for the library, saying, well, why haven't you kept this? Why haven't you kept that? Why haven't you kept everything, especially from those early days?
well, it's a very complicated question, but if I can put two main reasons why, really. First, for the very early television, the technology didn't necessarily exist to record the television programmes. Most television programmes were live in the early days, and the only way of recording them was to record them onto film, not onto videotape, and film recording did not originate till 47. Plus, equally important, I feel, is the actual perception of television programmes as not being of long-term importance.
I've just, Red has just come in. Is that the tape? Yes? Yeah. We think we found it, so hopefully we'll have time to get it on the air before we finish. So he's going to lace it up now, and hopefully we can see it on a monitor here. Now, you're saying that people didn't know how important it was going to be. I once heard somebody say that a spool of tape is actually more valuable to the BBC than any content it could possibly be.
Well, tape was not initially looked upon as a long-term format. If programmes were to be preserved, they would in fact transfer the tape to film recordings. It's only recently, as tape has become more and more prevalent, for example, 85% of all television programmes are made with tape, that it has to be recognised as having some long-term archival importance.
Now, I suppose that no one could have seen 20 or 30 years ahead and saying that certain programmes would be as popular as they have become.
Criticism is easy with hindsight, but in 1953, I doubt if anyone would have anticipated that the Flower Pot Men would have, 30 years later, become the biggest selling video in the country.
Now, it must present enormous logistical problems. We saw earlier on about the Enquiries department handling inquiries from all over the place, not only from the BBC, but people all over the world as well. How do you actually store it all? Do you have to keep them in special conditions?
The humidity and the temperature are controlled. Their films have to be stored flat for the master material. The tapes have to have a steady temperature and also the humidity controlled for that.
Why is that?
It's to prevent any potential deterioration of the actual formats. It's following manufacturers' recommendations as well for the long-term storage of the materials.
This must be an enormous logistical problem for you to be able to do that.
Well, it's like having two enormous air conditioning units here in the two warehouses where we keep everything.
All right. Now, it looks to me as if we might be ready. Fingers crossed that we've actually managed to find was it the first day of British television? Right, well, let's have a look in here. So if you can run VT, I've always wanted to say that. We've got the right output on this monitor. Right, here we go. Let's see what we've got. Here we go.
Vision and sound are on. The station goes on the air.
Hello, Radio Ellipta. This is direct television from the studios at Alexander Palace. And now I'm going to see and hear someone you know well.
Isn't that amazing? That is incredible. Thank you very much indeed for that, Red. It was amazing that he actually found it on the tape as well. That was the problem we were thinking that we might have. But anyway, thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you as well. It's been wonderful talking to you, and it's been a fascinating insight into what most people don't actually understand goes on. So whenever you see anything that's old on television, apart from me and Eamon, then you know that it's come from the Film Archive here at the library at Windmill Road in London.